In today's video, I'm going to show you how to build this responsive virtual suggestion box that relies on no data sources in order to complete this process. Now we can change it to a phone setup, and again, it'll be responsive and resize and make sure everything fits. Same thing if we're on an iPhone 8, or if we go to our tablet screen here, again, it's going to be responsive and resize. And I'll show you how to set this up so you can continue to customize this, maybe change the size of the fonts. Lots of different things you can do with responsive designs. But I'm going to show you how to do this, but I'm also going to show you how you can do this with no data sources. Now in this case, we're using the Office 365 connector, but we're not using any SharePoint, any Excel, any Dataverse tables to do this very simple process here. And I'll show you how to do that using the Office 365 Outlook connector and then a responsive app design. Now don't forget, if you like my content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the like button. It really does help the channel grow. I have one video that had over 10,000 different views, but I've still got less than 1,000 subscribers. So again, if you like the content or you find it helpful, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first thing we want to do is adjust our settings. So we're going to go into the settings here, and let's just take a look at our settings we've got here. We want scale to fit to be off, and then we also want our lock orientation to be off. And then we also want to turn on the show mobile device notification area. We don't want it to cover up any of our buttons or anything that might be at the top of the screen or at the bottom of the screen where the notifications will pop up. We don't want them to cover any of those things. So that's why you turn this on. And one more thing we want to do is just change our modern control and themes. That way we've got the ability to use them in here. So we'll turn that on in here as well. And we'll go ahead and close. Now you might be noticing that I've already got a background on here. If you want to see how you can use animated backgrounds using SVGs, go ahead and check out the video up in the right hand corner. I'm going to put a little pop-up there where you can click that and I show you how to do this. You can use an SVG file for this background, and I explain how you can do that inside of the video here, as well as explain how you can use ChatGPT to actually create that image. This was created through ChatGPT. There are other options out there where you could just buy the SVGs, but free is always better in my opinion. I think this one came out pretty good. And you can do the same thing with ChatGPT also. Now that's the only thing that I've changed here other than the names for this particular screen. Everything else is kind of the right out of the box design, so nothing's been customized for this. Let's go ahead and add an image up here. And this will be our logo. And let's go ahead and adjust our heights and width. And then we want our width to be the same as our height. Well, we've got a nice square box here. All right, so now we've got our logo in there. Let's go ahead and add a text box. And for this, we'll go ahead and set our height and width also. And we'll just do parent.height. And then for our width, it'll be parent.width minus image logo dot width times 2, and that'll keep it centered inside of our given space here. And let's go ahead and put this in the center there, and we'll put it in the middle, and we'll go with 24 just to start with here. Make this bold, and for this we're just going to call it a virtual suggestion box. For this particular design, this is what I usually see this used the most often for, but it can be used for just about anything. This design isn't going to have any data sources linked to it. The only requirement is that we're going to send an email to wherever it needs to go to. Now, one of the things we're doing with this particular design is we want it to be dynamic to whatever device the person is using. So let's go ahead and check how this is going to look. So we'll play it, and we're seeing how it's going to look in the web browser, which looks pretty good. But how's it going to look on a phone? So let's go ahead and look at the phone here. And we can see it fits just fine. If we go to an iPhone 8, everything looks good. So this is pretty much our smallest option, is what we're testing for, is to see how this is going to look, make sure the text isn't going to be too big, just to make sure everything fits on the screen regardless what kind of device people use. So if we go to an iPad 10, again, anything bigger than the phone, we've already kind of shown that it's going to work. So I think we're good there. So let's go ahead and go back to our window size. And we'll close out of here. And let's go ahead and rename this while we're at it. So we'll go with label, virtual suggestion box, header, main screen. All right, now let's go ahead and work on our main container here. Now what we might want to do is also adjust how things look. We can make this stand out a little bit more with an extra bold, Or maybe we just go with maybe a bold. I think semi-bold works pretty good. And then we can do the same thing here. That way we've got a pretty good look on this. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. It gives a little bit more standoff than just the light. Looks good with this design. All right, now the main container. Let's go ahead and add some more containers. So we'll go ahead and add a horizontal container in here. And we'll go ahead and add another one. And this time we'll add a vertical container. And let's go ahead and add one more container, and this will be where we're going to put our button. So we'll go with a container, horizontal. All right, so we've got 3 containers. And for these, we don't need to have any of our drop shadows. All right. Now this is going to be a button, so let's just go ahead and add a button right away. And we'll go ahead and put that in the center. So it's always going to be centered on this, and this is just going to be our submit button. So let's go ahead and submit. And let's go ahead and add an image here. And for this one, we'll go ahead and use send. That looks pretty good. Now we don't need our container to be quite so big, so let's go ahead and turn off our flexible height here. And we'll go with 75. That'll give us a little bit of space for our main container here, which is going to be our text entry. So we'll go ahead and add a input option here for text input. And let's go ahead and center this. And let's go ahead and adjust our height and width. So we'll do parent.width minus 40. That'll keep it a little bit away from the side of our container here. And then let's go ahead and adjust our height. And again, we'll go with parent.height. And we'll do minus 40 again. And then this is going to be the text. So let's go ahead and add a text option here. And again, we'll go ahead and center everything. And then we'll adjust our dimensions here. And again, we'll make our height parent.height. And for this one, we'll just put 10 on the borders there. And then we'll do a parent.width minus 40. All right, that looks good for the intro statement there. Let's go ahead and make it bold. And let's go ahead and adjust our container. We'll make this 75 and see how that looks. Let's go with 50. Nope, that's too small. So we'll do 60. Now I'll just adjust all the names over here. All right, so we've got everything renamed. I might be wondering why I go with the ending of main screen on every control. If you copy and paste this page, all you have to do is search for main screen _1, and you can replace every control on that page with the new pages, with the new page information. So it's a very easy and effective way to rename everything when you're moving between pages if you need to copy and paste. A lot of times I'll build a page, for example, access controls, and I'll use the design of that because it's already got the search box on it, it's already got the gallery, it's already got the form, and the general design will be consistent across the entire app for that type of a page. So if I copy and paste that page, all I have to do is do a search and replace for the end of the name, and it'll replace all the controls on there along with a lot of the functions and coding that make up that page. So it's a quick and easy way to duplicate pages. I'm all about efficiency. Again, that's one of the things on this channel. So if you didn't know that, that's a great way to do this. Now you could put it someplace else, but keep in mind that the end is always going to have that _1 when you paste it. So putting the screen name in there is a great way to make it easy to duplicate and then rename all your controls. And I think I want to make this a little bit smaller, so we're going to change our width a little bit. So we'll go with minus 80. That way we get a little bit more of our background showing through. Now let's go ahead and see what this looks like. All right, so we need to adjust our text box here a little bit. Let's go back into the app. And for our placeholder text, we'll go with enter your suggestion. And I'll go ahead and copy this. And we'll just put it in our accessible label here as well. And then I like to do the key press option. For an app like this, where it's just kind of a simple screen, Doing the key press works a little bit better when you're doing these text boxes. All right, let's go ahead and hit the play button here. All right, that looks pretty good. Well, let's go ahead and back that out of there and see how it looks on our mobile device option here. Yeah, so we've got plenty of room. We do have a little bit of a scroll here at the top, so maybe we want this to be adjusted when we go to the mobile phone option. Let's go ahead and look at the tablet option here and see how this looks. So we're still getting a scroll even on tablet. Let's go back to the phone. So we might want to adjust the height of our container for the other orientations that we've got here for this app. So let's go back in here. All right, so let's look at our container here, and we need to adjust our height. So right now we've got it at 60, which works great with the full-size screen, but doesn't work good for our other options. So let's go ahead and add switch, and we'll say main screen dot size, and let's go ahead and do 1. And let's make this a little bit bigger, give ourselves a little bit more room to work with here. And then we'll do 2. I'm not too worried about the answers yet. I'm going to do those in just a second here. Now for size 4, which is our extra large, let's just do with the 60. And we'll close this. And for this, we'll try 60 also. And here's where we have to make things a little bit different on our size. So we'll make it a little bit bigger. We'll try 80 and see how that looks. And then we'll try 80 here also. All right, let's go ahead and give this a shot here. It's not too bad. And it's fine for the iPad. Pretty much all the iPads except for the 12.9 seems to be pretty good. So it's really just the mobile that we have to kind of worry about. And now if you have specific devices, then you would kind of select based off of the devices you've got on what works. But for our small size here, that's where we might want to make this a little bit bigger so we don't have to scroll as much here. So let's go ahead and adjust this again. Let's adjust our container. And this is our smallest, so let's try 100 here. And hit play. And that's quite a bit bigger. So we pretty much need to increase it by almost double. So let's make this a little bit bigger. Let's try 200 and just see what we're looking at here. Yeah, that definitely fits. So we could probably go a little bit less than 200. And when you're doing your responsive screen designs, this is really what it comes down to, is trial and error until you find the right settings to make it look the way that you're looking for. And I think that's a good compromise, because we still want them to have space here to enter their text into the box. A little bit of a scroll is not going to kill them for it, but if you want to adjust it, I think we could probably go a little bit more. Well, we could probably try, I don't know, 170. Yeah, then we've got basically no scroll. Yeah, if I don't want any scroll, and a lot of times I don't like the scroll, especially on a mobile device, so we'll give them the option here of no scroll. That looks pretty good. Now they got very little space here to type in their text box, but they might not have that much that they have to put into the box anyway, so I think this will probably work. I think we could probably make this a little bit different. We could try like 175. That just gives us a little bit more screen real estate to work with here. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. And now let's go ahead and take a look at our text box here. We might want to limit their character length to maybe, I don't know, 600 characters is probably sufficient. And what that's going to do is when they're typing this in there, they're going to hit a maximum. They won't be able to put in any more text into here beyond 600 characters. It's just a little bit easier for the user if you do that approach versus them typing in 2,000 characters and then finding out that they can only put in 600. That's not an ideal way. So we're just going to limit it so they can't put more than 600 in here. Now you could also add the indication up here of a max of 600 characters so they know how much space they have to work with. Now what we need to do is work on our submit. So what do we want to happen with the submit button here? And what we're going to do is just send an email directly from the Power App. And I've got a template for this, so I'll just go ahead and paste that in there. Now it's going to come up with an error because we have to add that in here still. So let's go over to our add data, and we're going to look for our Office 365 Outlook, and we're going to add that in. All right, so now that we've got our connector, let's go ahead and take a look at it, and we can see that our error has gone away now. Now, these are pretty much all the options you have for the Outlook 365 Send Email version 2 connector. And it starts off with your to, your subject, your body, and then you can add the CC optional of the BCC. You can also choose your importance level of normal, high, or low. And then you always want to put in the HTML as my recommendation so that you've got the option to do HTML. So I always add that one by default for myself. And then if you're going to send it from another account, which you've got access to, you can also put in a from here also so that it comes from that account. Now I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. All right, now that it's filled in, I've got my email address up here. So this is where the email is going to go to. And then we've got our subject here. And then I've got my basic intro to the email. And then I added a little bit of HTML on here to add the paragraphs. So we've got our submission. And then this is going to be the value from our actual text box here. So whenever you're working with the modern controls, it's always .value with the text inputs. And then we've got another paragraph of just have a great day, ends our body. And then I'm going to select normal for the importance there. And I'm going to set the HTML as true. That way I can continue to add HTML in here, bold things, lists, and everything else are options that we can use. And then it's going to come from our no reply email address here. Now, the trick for the no reply is everybody that is going to be able to use this needs to have the option to actually do this. So if you've got people that are going to be able to fill out this virtual suggestion box but don't have access, then you're not going to want to use this for the from option here. It really doesn't matter where it comes from, but a lot of times I like to use these no reply email boxes if the organization allows for it. And that's all we needed to do here for our basic approach here. Now, so let's go up and actually test this out. So we'll come in here. All right, so we've got some basic text in here, and let's go ahead and hit the submit button. Now, one thing we might want to do is add a notification of success, but let's go check and see what our email looks like. All right, so here is our email. And as we can see, the no reply was the email. It came to my account, and we've got our first line. We've got our new paragraph here, which is everything that we entered in the text box. And then we've got to have a great day here. So everything was working pretty good. Now, you've noticed here that even though I had the enter spaces inside of the text, it didn't add that here for the submission. Now, if you wanted to add that kind of formatting, you could also use a rich text box, and then all that would be entered in here, and you could send the rich text as well. All right, let's go back to our app, and let's go ahead and add that notification on here. So let's go back to our submit button, and then we're just going to add a notification at the end of this. So we'll go ahead and do a notify, and we'll do a notification type of success, and again we'll do 3,000 milliseconds. All right, so that looks good. Let's go ahead and test it out one more time, and we'll keep it the exact same way and hit submit. And we've got our notification up at the top here, so everything is working as expected. So that's pretty much it for this video. Again, a very basic app, but no data sources. You don't need data sources for every single app. This is a very basic use case, but most organizations have some sort of a virtual suggestion box. This is a great way to do this. Now, I'm going to do a couple different versions of this. This is just the first one. We're going to have another one where we're going to talk about anonymous suggestion box emails also, and then we're going to do another one using different data source options as well. So we're going to do a couple different versions of this in future videos. Again, if you like this content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like the video. It really helps the channel grow and get this content to others that might like it also. All right, that's it for today. Until next time.